Hello, I'm Doug.
Hello, and I'm Flo.
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too.
Flo, can you tell me, when you were born and perhaps just a little bit about yourself?
I was born in 1921 and my parents died very young, and so as a result my brother and I were put in a children's home, and we spent all our life in different children's homes.
Right.
Which was quite an experience.
Yes.
So it didn't come very hard to go from there to join the forces.
Right.
It's the same, more or less the same attitude.
Were you born in Birmingham?
Yes, I was born in Birmingham, at Selly Oak.
What do you remember about the start of the Second World War?
I remember being at my uncle's home and the sirens went and he nearly went berserk. Come on, get up, get out of bed, go in the shelter, And I was so half soaked. I said, oh, I'm tired. Get up! So I had to get up and go into the shelter.
Yeah.
Because he was a very nervous man and he was frightened. So I had to do as I was told, you see.
Yes.
Which is a rare thing.
What sort of shelter did you have?
Anderson shelter, where we had to go down. It was like a tin hut, and then you had to go down the steps, and we built more or less a temporary home where we could sleep during the war.
Yes.
When the raids were on, which wasn't very pleasant, but very stuffy, But I don't know whether we were any safer down there than we were in the home, actually.
Do you remember the air raids on Birmingham in 1940?
Yes, I remember very much, from beginning to end. The first time I remember, we were all in bed and the sirens went, and I was staying with my uncle, who was a very nervous man, and he nearly went berserk. Come on, get out of bed, come on. And me, being half soaked, I couldn't care less, I said, no, I'm just tired, I'm stopping here. You'll so-and-so get up, he said. So we had to get up and go down the shelter and stay there till the all clear went. And then we went back to bed, as if nothing had happened, And I don't think an aircraft went over. It was simply a case of the sirens went. So we had to act as if there was a raid on, and that was it. But by the time you got back to bed, it took you a long time to get back to sleep. So that was it. That was my first experience. Not a very pleasant one.
Okay. I gather that you had to move house 3 times because of the bombing. Can you explain about that, please?
The first time we were bombed, it was rather nerve-wracking. I had just come home from a dance at the West End, and my auntie said to me, there's a letter in the back kitchen for you. Well, I was more interested in getting a letter from a boyfriend than I was in keeping safe. So I rushed into the back kitchen, got the letter, and then went down into the air raid shelter. And that was my first experience. And as I say, we stayed in the shelter then till the all clear. But it was very stuffy. I was bombed out of 3 houses. One was in Dawlish Road, and there wasn't quite a lot of damage, but quite a lot of the furniture was pinched from neighbours nearby.
Right.
Then I moved into Selly Oak by the Selly Oak Hospital, and we were bombed there, badly bombed there, and we lived in an alleyway where there was a row of 7 bungalows opposite. They all got bombed and all the people inside were killed. And then I went back to Selly Oak and we got bombed again. However, I'm still here to tell the tale.
Where were you working at the start of the war?
Cadbury's, and I was working on a night shift when they came from the labour exchange, and we only had a choice of either going permanent nights at Redditch on munitions or into the forces. So I chose the forces.
What happened next?
Then we went to Oswald Street, which was a huge training camp.
Right.
And you were interviewed and weighed up on what you were capable of, And apparently they decided I was going to anti-aircraft company on the guns in a mixed heavy attack battery. And from then on we went to different sites on different batteries.
I believe you were in the ATS. Could you explain about that and what happened to you on your first placement?
Well, the ATS means the Auxiliary Territorial Army, and we all had to go to Droitwich, and we stayed in a beautiful hotel and I thought to myself, this is the army, this is the life, you know, I was quite happy. But they didn't leave us there. Apparently we went there to be sorted out what they thought we were capable of. And as a result, I finished up in a mixed heavy aircraft battery, auxiliary heavy aircraft, on a gun site.
What were your duties on the guns? What did you have to do?
We had several duties. First of all, we had to learn as many aircraft as we could so that we would identify foreign or English aircraft. Then I had to learn how to do spotting so that I could spot whatever type of aircraft came over, foreign or English. And then I was trained to work on what was called a predictor. Do you know what a predictor is? It's a wonderful equipment. It's an equipment where the guns, on a gun site, the guns all around the area are attached to this predictor. So that where we matched our dial-up, they had to match their dial-up. Because through our predictor, we could follow the planes, wherever they were. So I used to have to give my orders to either elevate the gun, which was a warning, or depress the gun, and then turn left or turn right. And then when we were there, I'd have to shout, on target, fire. But I had to predict where the aircraft would be in so many seconds so that the guns had already moved there.
Right.
And then I'd say, on target, fire. And the guns would fire at the aircraft.
Right. I gather you were posted to London. Can you explain about that, please?
Yes. Well, our company was mobile, which meant wherever the air raids were, or the flying bombs came over, we were moved. Well, a flying bomb is a bomb that flew through the air with fire coming out of it. But when the fire stopped, that bomb would dive and fall onto wherever it was headed for, you know. But as long as the fire was coming out, you knew it wasn't going to drop anywhere near you, you see. But when the fire cut out, you fell on the floor to save yourself, you know. And so it was a case of potluck. You know, we had to just see wherever it was going, wherever it was flying, and if it cut out, you fell on the floor to save yourselves, you know.
The aircraft did you shoot down and flying bombs flow, do you reckon, with your battery?
Oh, numerous aircraft, but flying bombs we lost the count of because they kept on coming over Kent so much that in the finish we were on duty that long that it came orders we had to have 4 hours compulsory sleep. Each battery had to have a certain time, and say ours was 6 in the morning to 10. That was our time. You'd got to have 4 hours sleep, otherwise we didn't get any sleep at all.
Were the bombers coming over that regularly?
Yeah, oh yes, very much so, yeah.
Flo, did you see the damage caused by the doodlebugs?
I did indeed. It caused terrific damage. I saw one drop on a factory that made all toys and that, and it just wiped the factory out altogether.
Flo, how long were you in London for?
Roughly 12 months. But then when things got worse, we had to go down on the coast in Kent to fire at the doodlebugs as they were coming over.
Flo, do you remember what happened at the end of the war?
I happened to be in Trafalgar Square, and I don't know who kissed me and who didn't kiss me. There was that much celebration going on, hugging and kissing. It was wonderful. I shall never forget it.
Flo, when we were eventually demobbed?
It was about 1946 anyway. And I was lying on my bed and an officer said to me, "Don't you want to go home?" I looked at him, you know, I said, "No, well, no, yes, no," you know, not knowing what to say actually. He said, "Well, clear off then." He said, "All the best." And that was it. And I had my reports. Of course, you had to have a character report when you left there, you know. But I never quite knew how to take this report. He said I was efficient and blah, blah, blah. And he finished up by saying, "And she will be a loss to the battery." I didn't quite know how to take that.
I think that's good. Flo, I've really enjoyed talking to you, so thank you so much for coming this morning.
You're very welcome, but as I'm talking to you, it's bringing back so many memories, I could go on forever.
I bet you could. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.